My husband returned from the battlefield with a princess from the enemy state, Shangshang, for the peace between our two countries. I must wrong you. In a single night, I was demoted from wife to concubine, the laughingstock of the entire capital. Deep in the night, the emperor leaned close to my ear, caressing my feet gently. Little madam, how do I compare to your husband? Be quiet. Your husband is right outside. Do you want me to call him in the gilded hall? Thick with hidden fragrance, embroidered shoes and robes lay scattered across the floor. No, I begged softly, trembling. He chuckled in response. Guess what is here for? I said nothing. Outside was my husband, Ji Cheng. He had come to ask for an imperial physician for the enemy princess. The princess was 3 months pregnant. Every few days, he came to beg for the royal doctors to feel her pulse. Suddenly, Ji Cheng's voice came from beyond the screen. Your Majesty, this servant has one more bold request. Xie Yu paused, not letting me go, and said coldly, Speak. The princess is with child and cannot be agitated. This servant begs your Majesty to issue an edict and grant her a proper title. Xie Yu raised an eyebrow, staring at me with a half-smile. General Ji, you and your wife have shared years together. Can you truly bear this? Ji Cheng's voice was flat. This servant has no feelings left for Madame Yun. Reducing her to a concubine is already merciful. I beg your Majesty to grant my wish. My entire body went stiff. I stared in disbelief at the shadow outside the screen. He had told me it was all an act, that he and the princess were only pretending. Xie Yu laughed, peeling away my hands as I begged for mercy. Hear that? He wants you to be a concubine. How could he compare to me? Whatever you want, I can give you. Someone will find out. I don't want to be drowned in the pond. Xie Yu laughed aloud. Look at you, raving, with me here. Who dares drown you? I, always obedient and quiet, silently tightened my arms around Xie Yu's neck. He understood. A cold smile spread across his face as he spoke to my husband outside. Granted. The golden hairpin at my temple tinkled softly. I cried through the rest of it. Xie Yu softened his tone to soothe me. He's blind. We'll just throw him away. Can you make me empress? I asked only to make him lose interest. To my shock, Xie Yu sneered. What's so hard about that? Anything you want. I can give you. Rumors had long said Xie Yu was a madman, that he had killed his mother and his father, that he was capable of any evil. The empress's seat had been empty for years. No one dared marry their daughter to him. I never thought he could be this insane. It was late spring. Begonias bloomed brilliantly outside the window. I passed out in Xie Yu's arms. When I woke, I was back at the general's manor. Princess Swanixi came to see me specially. She looked different from Central Plains women, with sharp, bright features, stunningly beautiful. I heard the general went to great lengths to marry you back then. I held my teacup and said nothing. It was true. Once, Ji Cheng had knelt in the snow for hours to marry me, beaten black and blue by his father. He had held me tight in the dark and said he could never live without me. Swanixi touched her belly and smiled. But now, the general and I, we have a child. The general was young then. He didn't know what he wanted. For example, when I first met him on the battlefield, he tried to kill me. She laughed as she spoke. Love and hate tangled. In the end, it all turned soft. My heart felt pierced by a needle, throbbing painfully. The day Ji Cheng brought Swanixi back, he had sworn with hatred in his eyes, if not for the peace between nations, I would have killed that vile woman. Later, I caught him in bed with her. You were the one who betrayed me first. How dare you cry? Ji Cheng smiled lightly, teasing her freely, no longer the man filled with rage. Swanixi sobbed and clung to him. If you don't like me, kill me and end it. How could I ever? Ji Cheng sighed softly and led her away into the flowers. Only then did I realize, Ji Cheng truly loved her now. Before leaving, Swanixi stood at the door, triumphant. The general and I are meant to be. Everyone hopes for it. I hope you understand what loyalty to your country means. On the festival of Qi Qiao, Ji Cheng took Swaningsi to the palace banquet. I sat in the courtyard, staring at the stars. Suddenly, someone sat down beside me. The scent of dragon's saliva incense drifted on the wind. Lift your head, Vega is behind you. The voice was distinctive, clear yet majestic. I didn't need to turn to know who it was. Instead of looking where he told me, I hung my head, sullen. What's the point of looking at Vega? Even stars part. Xiaoyu chuckled. Whether they part or not, I decide. I was in a foul mood. After a long while, I turned to him. Can you take me into the palace? What for? To see Ji Cheng. I had made up my mind. Whatever was between Ji Cheng and me was over, with his colleagues as witnesses. Tonight was the perfect night to divorce him. Xiaoyu rubbed his jade thumb ring, staring at me for a long time. Then he smiled. Very well, just like that. I climbed into the carriage to the palace. I had been here a few times before and knew the roads. Xiaoyu sat with me in the carriage, turning down an unfamiliar alley. Your Majesty, this. His fingers suddenly squeezed my chin. Xiaoyu's lips curled coldly. You thought I'd let you run off to cozy up to Ji Cheng. Have you forgotten what you said when you were with me? My heart jolted. My cheeks burned with shame. The day I caught Ji Cheng with Swaningsi, I had been drugged with a love potion. Delirious, I had thrown myself at a man, mistaking him for Ji Cheng. That man was Xiaoyu. I still remembered our words. Little madam, you've mistaken me for someone else. You don't speak. What if you deny it when you wake up? Then I'll deny it. I don't need reason with you. Now, those amber eyes stared at me calmly, using me as a substitute, tossing me aside after you'd had your fill. That's called leading me on and then abandoning me. I shrank into the corner, surrounded by his cold, clear scent. My hands clutched his shoulder helplessly. Wait, someone might see. Good. Xiaoyu had a screen set up in the middle of the banquet. The ministers outside could vaguely see the shadow inside. He brought me to the palace banquet openly like this. My palms sweated nervously. I was about to speak when Xiaoyu gestured for silence. He can hear you. Only then did I notice. In the lower right sat Ji Cheng and Swaningsi. Ji Cheng's soft, breathless voice drifted through the screen. Stop that, he chided softly, his voice tightening abruptly. Swaningsi whined. No, I'm not full yet. It's improper. Even the scolding was full of indulgence. Xiaoyu wrapped an arm around me and whispered in my ear. Tell me what you want to eat, I'll pick it for you. The sounds from the other side stopped dead. Ji Cheng shot to his feet. This servant greets your majesty. Rise. Xiaoyu's tone was cold. This is a family banquet. Enjoy yourselves. He turned to me without hesitation. That fish has many bones. Wait for me to pick them out. Silence fell over the hall. Several old ministers stood up excitedly. Your Majesty, may we ask who the young lady is? Xiaoyu laughed lightly. Funny enough, she has quite the connection to General Ji. The Ji clan had many branches. Even Ji Cheng probably couldn't name all his sisters. The general's cousin. The old ministers begged Xiaoyu to make her empress. One after another, Xiaoyu ignored them all. He looked down and patiently picked the fish bones for me. His beautiful hands moved deftly. Soon, only tender white fish meat remained on the plate. My heart raced. I drank cup after cup of fruit wine, unaware of how much I'd had. By the time I felt lightheaded, it was too late. Xiaoyu caught my swaying body, exasperated. You trust me so easily, not afraid I'll leave you. I slumped against him, my nose stinging as tears fell. Outside the screen, Swaningsi threw a fit. She demanded that Ji Cheng pick bones for her too. Ji Cheng had never been good at it before. Now, he had clearly practiced. Xiaoyu looked at my wet eyes, suddenly held my face, and bit my neck, not gently. I yelped in shock. The whispers next door stopped. Your Majesty, that lady just now. Xiaoyu smiled casually. It's nothing. She's young. She can't take being teased. Ji Cheng hesitated. After a moment of silence, he sat back down. I buried my face deep in Xie Yu's chest, terrified the screen would fall and expose me. Xie Yu laughed softly. I shall take my leave. Enjoy the rest of the banquet. He lifted me in his arms. As he turned, the screen creaked dangerously. Ji Cheng stood up again, staring toward us. My heart sank. I hid my face. A few breaths later, the screen crashed down. When the dust cleared, Xie Yu was holding me, fully exposed to everyone. Dead silence filled the hall. No one expected to see the emperor with his robes disheveled from my clinging, his imperial dignity gone. Crash, a table overturned. Ji Cheng stumbled forward. Your Majesty, why is this woman? Cold sweat broke out on my skin. I clung tightly to Xie Yu, my face buried in his neck. My hairpins slipped loose. Black hair spilled over my shoulders. Xie Yu immediately pressed my head to his chest, shielding me completely. General Ji, you have overstepped. Ji Cheng refused to back down. Your Majesty, how old is this lady? Which branch of my family is she from? Xie Yu looked amused. What, General Ji, want to arrange a match for me, or do you act as a father to her? Very well, I shall make this union official tonight. Ji Cheng choked. This servant fears someone with ill will is using my name to harm your Majesty. Please show mercy and let this servant see her face. The old ministers all agreed. The general speaks wisely. Your Majesty, be careful. My heart was in chaos. Xie Yu was unpredictable. He might only be toying with me. If he grew tired of me and threw me out. Xie Yu lowered his head and whispered to me. Did you hear? They want me to hand you over. Do you want me to agree? No, no, Xie Yu said calmly. If not, then say something nice. Make me happy, and I'll spare you. Nice words. Xie Yu smiled. Beg me. I whispered. I beg you, that's it. He rubbed my fingertips softly. Your life isn't worth a few tender words. I knew what he wanted to hear, but in my panic, I couldn't force out a single syllable. Xie Yu chuckled and lifted his head. Today is not convenient. All of you, leave. Several old ministers stood their ground, blocking his way. Your Majesty, you must give us peace of mind today. Ji Cheng stood at the front, refusing to yield. Xie Yu sneered. Suddenly, he pinched my lower back gently. I flinched and let out a sharp gasp. The noisy crowd fell silent at once. Hear that? Xie Yu lifted his eyelids and glanced at them coldly. Do you need to come inside my wedding chamber to watch? I'm in quite a hurry. Most ministers were over 50. They blushed deeply, muttering, indecent, disgraceful. They had probably never met anyone as shameless as Xie Yu in their entire lives. You betray the late emperor's trust. Some even began wailing. Xie Yu ignored them all. He carried me openly through the crowd and left. When we reached a quiet spot, Xie Yu stopped. All right, how long do you plan to hide? I slipped out of his arms. Before I could steady myself, I turned and stumbled away. Yun Shong, Xie Yu shouted. He strode after me, grabbed my arm, and pulled me back. Why are you running? I was drunk and dizzy, too scared to speak clearly. I'll be caged and drowned. Xie Yu laughed in exasperation. Drown you? For what? Tears streamed down my face. My voice hoarse like a wronged ghost. I'm unclean. I have an adulterer. Xie Yu's face darkened. You think I'm filthy? He lifted me by the jaw and snapped. Open your eyes and look. Who are you calling an adulterer? I hiccuped and cried harder. Heaven, have mercy. Instead of comforting me, Xie Yu smiled beautifully. His voice cold. Then what? I'll go to the underworld with you and be ghost lovers. How does that sound? At his words, all the eunuchs and maids fell to their knees. Your Majesty is the Son of Heaven. You must not speak such blasphemy. Xie Yu paid them no mind. He only stared at my face. Seeing me hesitate, he leaned close and whispered, Think carefully. I'm right here, within your reach. Far better than that heartless husband of yours. Memories of that night flooded back, and my head spun. But after a moment, I shook my head and changed my mind. No, I must divorce Ji Cheng first. You really have to divorce him first. Yes, tch. Xie Yu looked impatient. So many rules. He waved a hand. Write the edict. The head eunuch hurried over with brushes, ink, and paper. Xie Yu lowered his eyes, wrote a few quick strokes, threw down the brush, and stamped the seal. Done. Divorced. He tossed the edict into the eunuch's arms, pulled me back, and asked, "Now will you be mine? I'm free." I could barely believe it. Yes. Xie Yu's voice was short. He led me into the palanquin. I stayed stunned the entire ride. Craning to stare at the edict in the eunuch's arms, inside the bedchamber, I asked again, "Your imperial edict is stronger than a divorce paper?" "Yes." Xie Yu lowered his head and began undoing my belt. I had just brightened up when his hand slipped under my inner clothes. "Shang, when will you give me a proper title?" I stared at his stunningly handsome face and touched it. "Adulterer, ah." Before I could finish, Xie Yu threw me onto the bed. "Stop talking." When I woke up, the chamber was filled with swirling dragon incense. I turned over, feeling as if my body wasn't my own. While dressing, I accidentally knocked over a teacup, alerting the maids outside. They filed in and bowed respectfully. "Your ladyship." I asked cautiously, "Which lady?" "Her ladyship, as His Majesty personally named you this morning." Memories of last night flooded back. I blushed deeply and trembled with fear. "Where is the edict?" "Your ladyship should know. The edict His Majesty wrote last night was rejected by the Ministry of Civil Service. They said it would shake the army and harm the realm. This morning, His Majesty left early for the imperial study over this matter." My mind spun. I felt my head was no longer safe on my shoulders. I dressed at once and hurried to the imperial study. On the way, I heard people talking. "The senior ministers are following General Ji back to the manor right now. They'll dig up that woman from yesterday if they have to. What then? If her background is noble, they'll make her empress. If not, eliminate her to remove future trouble." I turned cold all over, unable to take another step. One person said, "Who dares defy the new emperor?" The new emperor seems to have absolute power, but real authority is still with the senior ministers. He has no say. My face turned ashen. It's over, all over. Xie Yu had no real power at all. I should run while I still could. I turned around and saw Xie Yu's personal head eunuch standing respectfully behind me. I said quickly, "I have something important to retrieve from the general's manor. Please send me there." Xie Yu was held up elsewhere. His men dared not disobey me and sent me straight to the general's manor. I had just caught my breath when Ji Cheng arrived. Shang, where were you last night?" My palms sweated nervously. "Nowhere." His dark eyes studied me carefully. He muttered to himself, "Right, looking at you. I was overthinking." He suddenly lifted my face. Shang, I've been busy lately. Don't blame me. When I'm free, I'll spend time with you." His patronizing tone stabbed deep in my heart. I pulled away from his touch. "You've given your heart to another. Let's divorce cleanly. I want to leave the capital. Can you return my mother's relic?" Before she died, my mother had left a jade pendant as a gift for her son-in-law. It was still with Ji Cheng. Shang, what are you saying?" Ji Cheng frowned. "I have no time for this now. The emperor has taken a fancy to my cousin. All my colleagues are pressing me to confirm her identity. Don't make trouble." I remembered the words I'd heard that morning about putting me to death. My heart tightened. "Give me the relic, and I'll leave at once." Ji Cheng closed his eyes, exhaustion plain on his face. Shang, no one wants a divorced woman. Every man takes multiple wives. With your background, being my concubine is no insult." I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Once, Ji Cheng had sworn, "You are my wife for life. I'll listen to everything you say," but he had changed. When I said something he disliked, Ji Cheng turned and left without a word. There was no reason to stay here any longer. I packed my bundle and walked alone to the gate only to run straight into Swanixi, who had just returned from shopping. Her maid grabbed my collar and lifted me up, laughing. Where are you going? She knew some martial arts and was quite strong. I shoved her away and said coldly, "Don't touch me." Swaningsi laughed. "You Central Plains women are like little chicks. Weak and delicate. Are you going to cry to the general that I bullied you?" Servants watched silently, enjoying the show. No one spoke for me. The maid pushed me roughly to the ground. I propped myself up, trying to sit. Suddenly, Swaningsi lifted her foot and pressed her embroidered shoe down on my shoulder, hard. "I hear you're demanding a divorce from the general. A mere concubine, where do you get the nerve?" Her clothes were now in the style of a Maine wife. She looked glorious. I tried to speak, but Swaningsi squeezed my jaw. She squatted in front of me, looking at me with contempt. "Ignorant woman, you can't even see the situation. The general's cousin is now the emperor's favorite. She'll rise high soon. Too bad you'll never live that kind of life. Pa, I don't want it." She took my insult personally. She sneered and ordered, "Strip her. Tomorrow, we'll use her to entertain the general's important guests." "Stop. Don't touch me." I had never suffered such humiliation. I struggled wildly. The women attacking me were bitten by me. They screamed in pain as blood drew, but there were too many of them. I couldn't fight them all. When Ji Cheng rushed back, I was being pinned to the ground, my clothes being torn off. "Stop," he roared. He stepped forward and kicked the old servants holding me. The grip loosened. I rolled over and lay on the ground, gasping for breath. In my hand, I still clutched a handful of hair torn from someone. Swaningsi's attitude softened at once. "General, she insulted me first." The others fell silent, realizing Ji Cheng was furious. Ji Cheng said nothing. He stared at my exposed collarbone, his eyes storming. Beneath my clothes were the faint kiss marks from Xie, still not faded. Swaningsi tried to speak again, but Ji Cheng said flatly, "The madam is unwell. Take her back to her room first." This time, Ji Cheng's own men acted. The courtyard quickly cleared. My jaw was suddenly squeezed tight. Ji Cheng forced my head up. His voice was terrifyingly cold. "Tell me, who was it?" I looked up at him and suddenly felt like laughing. Men can have 3 wives and 4 concubines, yet women must be confined to the inner chambers, bound to some meaningless virtue. "Ji Cheng, do you even have the right to ask me? If your precious wife hadn't drugged me with that aphrodisiac, would I be like this?" I must have gone mad. I only wanted to humiliate him, even if it cost me my life. Scorn flooded his eyes. He blurted out, "So that's why you're so eager to divorce, you slut." Those 2 words stung. I snapped my head around and slapped him hard. "You're the slut, the most disgusting slut." Ji Cheng's gaze turned icy, as if he was forcing down his rage. "Don't dirty Ninga with your filth." I spat at him. His men kept their heads down, terrified of seeing their master shamed. He must have forgotten I used to have a temper too, hard to calm once I lost it. Ji Cheng sneered. The last shred of affection in his eyes vanished. "Yun Shong, what concubine doesn't entertain guests? I'll just pretend you were licked by a dog. It suits your station." Slap. I hit him again, my whole body shaking with anger. Ji Cheng fell silent. He stared blankly at the stone bricks for a long while, then whispered, "I'll send someone to investigate. From now on, you will never step out of this manor again." I laughed in rage. "What if I told you the man is of imperial blood? Would you dare kill him?" "Oh," he looked contemptuous. "Then come with me to see the emperor. I'll make you give up." Ji Cheng was furious. He dragged me straight to the imperial study. With his military achievements, he acted boldly. Xie was in a meeting when Ji Cheng interrupted. He didn't seem angry. "Well, General Ji, in such a good mood you've brought your wife to sightsee." Ji Cheng lifted his robes and knelt neatly. "Your Majesty, this servant begs you to uphold justice." "Uphold justice?" Xie chuckled softly. "Speak." Ji Cheng pulled me before him. "Yun has committed adultery with a royal noble. I beg your Majesty to find the man and uphold the law." Xie was clearly amused. a royal noble, that's what she told you. Yes, yet I seem to recall that just yesterday, General Ji was begging me to give Swanixi a proper title. Now you care how Yun Shong is. She is my first wife. She must uphold her duty. You're rather controlling, Xie Yu snorted, leaning lazily against the dragon throne, resting his head on his hand as he looked at me. Little madam, what do you say? My throat tightened. I turned my head away. I want a divorce. Ji Cheng grabbed my wrist so hard I thought he'd break my bones. You will never. Clang. A dagger flew past his wrist and buried itself deep in the pillar behind him. Xie Yu's face finally turned cold. The divorce is granted. Veins popped on Ji Cheng's forehead. The marks on her neck are proof. Your judgment is unfair. If word gets out. What if word gets out? Xie Yu lifted his eyelids, his smile icy. I left those marks. Spread them if you dare. Ji Cheng froze, then blanched. He stared at me sharply. Last night. Xie Yu spoke slowly. Last night. Ah. You mean Shangshang and I enjoyed ourselves very much. I hung my head, clutching my skirt, silent and sullen. Shangshang knows how to speak sweetly, how to act coquettish. He laughed. Ji Cheng, is she not better than your barbarian princess? Your Majesty. Ji Cheng's voice rose, humiliation burning in his eyes. She is my legal wife. Xie Yu's eyes turned to ice. If she's your legal wife, why demote her to concubine? Who was with you in the palace last night? Who holds the household authority in your manor? Ji Cheng, if you truly saw her as your wife, why couldn't you even find who drugged her? Couldn't find, or didn't want to? One question after another left Ji Cheng speechless. The color drained from his face. This servant, Xie Yu did not let up. The one you discard. I treasure. She's just stubborn. If you won't divorce her, she keeps running away. Even an imperial edict isn't enough. Better now than later. Sign the divorce paper, General. I will take good care of her. She won't bother you again. Ji Cheng tried to speak, but Xie Yu smiled coldly. I am not asking you. For a moment, Ji Cheng's eyes held unwillingness, but it faded quickly. He lowered his gaze. His fists clenched so tight the veins stood out on the back of his hands. This servant obeys. I finally got my divorce from Ji Cheng, and my mother's relic back. He left. Only Xie Yu and I remained in the room. Xie Yu tapped the table lightly. Shangshang, come here. I walked to him obediently. Xie Yu set down his brush and asked patiently, you tried to run earlier. I glanced at him carefully. Yes, afraid I have no real power and can't protect you. After a silence, he suddenly squeezed my chin and looked me over. He smiled. Why do you look like a little dog? All beaten up. He rubbed ointment on the scratches from the servants. I stared at his fingers. Even his fingertips exalted nobility. Why would he set his eyes on me? Xie Yu looked down, his tone calm. Rest easy. Even if I drown all of them, I won't let them touch you. I stayed quiet for a long time, doing whatever he told me. Xie Yu laughed. So obedient today. Give me a kiss. I've missed you. There are people outside. You want them to watch. I'll carry you to the window. I mumbled and pleaded. Xie Yu smiled. What a noisy woman. He carried me into the inner chamber. I didn't know Ji Cheng hadn't left. He stood outside the door, listening to everything. He stared for a long while, unwilling, before finally leaving. That day, I slept deeply in Xie Yu's bed. Perhaps from all the torment, I developed a high fever. I was delirious for days. Xie Yu personally tended to me. By the time I recovered, several days had passed. Xie Yu saw I was still low-spirited. So he called all civil and military officials to an autumn hunt. The autumn wind was cool. The green mountains had turned golden. I wore a veil and sat on the high platform. I saw Ji Cheng and Swanixi. Swanixi was now doted on by Ji Cheng, blooming like a proud peony. At that moment, Ji Cheng sensed something and looked over. Our eyes met. Ji Cheng looked away expressionlessly. He placed peeled shrimp into Swanixi's bowl. Shangshang, eat meat. Xie Yu called to me. I lowered my head and ate the small pieces in my bowl. These days, everyone thought I was Ji Cheng's cousin. They assumed Ji Cheng would rise high, and congratulated him at the feast. Instead, Ji Cheng raised his cup to Xie Yu. This servant must congratulate your majesty on finding a good match. Their eyes locked, sparks flying. Xie Yu smiled. If I had met her a few years earlier, we might already have children by now. Ji Cheng's face stiffened. Yun and I shared years of love. It happened several times, but her health was weak. She couldn't keep them. What a pity. Xie Yu smiled coldly. General Ji, perhaps you should check your own body. After rounds of wine, everyone mounted their horses and scattered into the dense forest. Xie Yu held me in his arms. He called out, "Whoever hunts a brown bear gets the first reward." Then he said to Ji Cheng, close enough to hear, "Shang needs a cloak. Fox fur is said to be nice. Please see to it, General." Ji Cheng's eyes darkened. "This servant will do my utmost." He did not take Swaningxi. He rode alone into the bushes. Xie Yu did not move. He held me, narking an arrow. In the next moment, he drew the bow fully, aiming straight at Ji Cheng's back. I was terrified. "What are you doing? Jealous?" Xie Yu sounded jealous. "You looked at him several times. You even drank more wine." I scrambled for something nice to say. "Ever since I was little, I drank nervously when anxious." Xie Yu released the arrow. It flew toward Ji Cheng's heart. My heart stopped. If Ji Cheng died, the army would fall into chaos. Ji Cheng, clang. The arrow grazed Ji Cheng's arm and buried itself deep in the tree trunk. Pinning a dead rabbit to it, Ji Cheng turned, his face dark. "Your Majesty, what is the meaning of this?" Xie Yu rode over slowly. "Shang wanted a little rabbit. Sorry for startling you, General. I was so weak with fright I almost fell off the horse." Xie Yu caught me quickly and leaned close to my ear. Warm breath tickled my ear. "If you don't want him dead, then sweeten me up." Panicked, I lifted my lips and kissed him. Xie Yu stayed still at first, letting me kiss him roughly, wanting to embarrass me. Just as I was flustered and about to give up, he suddenly pulled me tight into his arms and called out, "General Ji, the rabbit is yours." With that, he tugged the reins and galloped deep into the forest. "Slower, please." Nothing but my cries and the whistling wind in the woods. Xie Yu did not slow down. He rode faster. He was truly angry because I'd called out Ji Cheng's name. He raced with me to a lake. He tied the horse to a tree and dismounted, walking toward the water. I lay on the horse's back, stretching my feet too high to reach the stirrups. "Your Majesty." Xie Yu ignored me. I gritted my teeth and scrambled down, twisting my ankle. Then I limped after him. "Are you angry?" Xie Yu glanced at me sideways. "What do you think? You just can't be tamed. I give you my all, but whose side are you really on?" I blinked and said, "I want you to be well." Xie Yu narrowed his eyes. "Yun Shong, you dare spout such half-hearted words." I grabbed his sleeve and breathed steadily. "I came from the north. I know how the common people suffered during the war. As long as Ji Cheng lives, peace on the northern border holds." Xie Yu's gaze shifted slightly. "That's why you won't fight him?" Yes, I felt a pang of sorrow. I know which weighs more, personal feelings or the nation. He wronged me, but he cannot die if he protects the people. They call you a tyrant, but I know you review memorials deep into the night, worrying day and night for the realm. I want you to live a long, long life. Xie Yu lowered his head and touched my ear, his eyes unreadable. "You truly can swallow this wrong." My throat tightened. "I have to, even if I can't. If only one of Ji Cheng and I can live, who do you choose?" he asked again. I frowned, tangled in indecision, and fell silent for a long while. Xie Yu's gentle expression vanished at once. He lifted me roughly and tossed me onto the horse. "In my opinion, asking you is useless. Better we do something fun." My collar loosened. I clung to him in terror. "No, don't. Shang, hold tight. If you fall, I won't save you." That night, Xie Yu was unusually relentless. He kept comparing himself to Ji Cheng, in strength, in tenderness, in how long he could last. She couldn't keep the child. That's his failing. I'm different. Shang, do you prefer me, or Ji Cheng? I trembled and steadied myself. You. The room was sweltering. Xie Yu's hands were cool against my burning cheeks. Look up, say my name. I felt like I was melting. Your Majesty, call me by name. Xie Yu. After that day, Xie Yu suddenly grew busy. My position was delicate, so I stayed in the palace every day, listening to the maids tell stories of the outside world. They said Swanixi was living comfortably, pregnant. She had Ji Cheng wrapped around her finger. I hear the north is restless again. General Ji might have to march. I froze. When, a few days ago, the north tore up the treaty, war has begun. I sat by the window all day. At dusk, Xie Yu returned. He looked ill, weak, coughing often. I slipped out and asked the head eunuch, "What's wrong with your Majesty these days?" Sigh. All because of General Ji's campaign. The eunuch glanced at me uneasily. Their relationship is poor, and they clashed over the appointment. Your Majesty hasn't slept in days and caught a chill. Milady, you might still have influence with the general. Could you persuade him? I heard Ji Cheng had been staying in the side hall near the imperial study, refusing absolutely to lead the army. He wouldn't leave unless Xie Yu agreed to replace him. I stared quietly at Xie Yu. He smiled, his features beautiful in the candlelight. Why are you staring at me? Is Ji Cheng refusing to march? Xie Yu paused while undoing his sleeves. I thought you missed me. You miss him instead. I missed you. My ears burned. I'd spoken the truth without thinking. He pulled me over, his voice cold, planning to stay up all night again. I shrank back. You're sick. I don't want to catch it. Xie Yu laughed in exasperation. Little ungrateful thing. You'd be the first to run if I died. Come here. I'll hold you to sleep. I hesitated. Better not. I don't want to be ill. Xie Yu was stunned. You really dislike it. I said nothing and stepped back. He cursed with a laugh. Typical. After washing, he lay down to sleep. Once his breathing evened out, I quietly got up, dressed, and went to the side hall. Ji Cheng wore court robes, sitting in the corner. He lifted his head slightly at the sound. His dim eyes lit up a little, reflecting my figure. He didn't move. His fingers twisted slightly. Shang, I sat opposite him. Why won't you lead the army, General? Ji Cheng's face tightened. Have we become this distant? I ignored him. Is it because of Swanixi? Ji Cheng pressed his lips together. Yes, Ninga. She won't let me kill her own people. My hands clenched. I stood, walked before him, and stared, just as he was about to speak. I raised my hand and slapped him hard. The crisp sound echoed through the hall. Ji Cheng froze. I said, Ji Cheng, you can forget your promises to me, but do not forget the hundreds of lives on your shoulders. His eyes trembled. Back then, my entire clan gave their lives to save you, slaughtered by the enemy. You swore you would become a general, protect the country, make sure the barbarians who've never stepped on Central Plains soil again. That was why I traveled 1,000 miles with you to the capital. Ji Cheng paled. Shang, I spoke bitterly, hating his weakness. You married Swanixi for peace. I did not protest. But now you refuse to fight for her. Then I will kill Swanixi. You will take the field whether you want to or not. My eyes reddened. I turned toward the door. Guards, bring Swanixi here. The Imperial guards outside answered in unison. Yes, milady. Ji Cheng shot to his feet. You dare? I stared at him fiercely. My voice sharp. The Emperor fears public opinion. I do not. I am just a woman. If I kill Swanixi out of jealousy, I only lose my life. Think carefully, Ji Cheng. Ji Cheng could not speak for a long while. Xie Yu's Imperial Guard stood behind me, ready to storm the manor at my order. Ji Cheng ground his teeth. Yun Shong, you're ruthless. Not a trace of our years together remains. I acted as if I hadn't heard, and walked out without looking back. Words are useless. General, please. The head eunuch looked relieved. Milady, you are brave. If I spoke now, the court would have no complaints, but after today, I had broken completely with Ji Cheng. My true identity might not stay hidden much longer. I felt dizzy, but said firmly, bring Swanixie to the palace. Tell her I invite her to speak. Yes. The night Swanixie entered the palace, Ji Cheng marched north. Shortly after, a servant reported, Milady, the general's wife has arrived. Hearing that title again after half a month left me dazed. Then Swanixie's voice came, my general and Milady are kin. Please have mercy, let him stay in the capital to await the birth. The eunuch asked for my order. I nodded and let her in. Swanixie pushed through the crowd. Milady, her words caught in her throat. When she saw me, her tone turned sharp. It's you, you're the one stopping him, I asked. Swanixie's flattering expression vanished. She lifted her chin haughtily. So what if I am? The general dotes on me and would resign for me. That's something you'll never have. I stared at her and said softly, beat her. Servant stepped forward at once. Swanixie took a hard slap and glared at me furiously. I am a princess. How dare you hit me? Beat her again. Slap. Another blow landed. Yun Shong, you lowly servant. I looked at her coldly. Obstructing our general from marching is a capital offense. As war breaks out between our nations, you still call yourself an enemy princess, also a capital offense. Beating you is mercy. Swanixie lunged forward, but was held back. Tears filled her eyes, as if looking at her family's murderer. Yun Shong, wait until the general returns in triumph. He will avenge me. Everyone present looked at her with contempt. Ji Cheng's victory would mean her homeland's defeat. One moment she begged for her people. The next she wished them to be stepping stones for her husband. No one respected such a spineless turncoat. I was exhausted. Lock her up tightly. No mistakes. Gag her too. Swanixie cursed at me until the very end. I returned to the bedchamber, removed my hair ornaments, and stared at myself in the mirror. I thought of many years ago, when Ji Cheng held me in the ruins, beyond the cracks, rivers of blood. My family had been cut open by barbarian blades. Those men had delighted in desecrating the dead. Back then, I swore I would see them destroyed. When Ji Cheng took the military exams, I woke early and stayed late, cooking kanji for him, afraid he wouldn't have enough strength. I clung to life only because I wanted to see them fall. When I lay down, Xie Yu stirred, the bed filled with my floral scent. Feel better now. Xie Yu pulled me into his arms without opening his eyes. You were gone so long. Your hands are cold. You knew everything. I've heard enough in your dreams to deafen me. My nose stung. I held him tight, unable to speak. Don't cry, Xie Yu said softly. I protected you before. I still do. Rain fell outside. The night was cold. I vaguely remembered happy days in the north with my family. Those memories were buried deep, too painful to recall. I only remembered, once. Ji Cheng was the one who protected me. Now, it was someone else. The weather turned cold. The northern war dragged on. Swanixie threw several fits. No one paid her any mind. By early winter, good news came from the north. The war was won. The court's gloom lifted at once. Everyone waited eagerly for the army's return. Milady, the general's wife, has grown more arrogant by the day. She keeps saying you'll regret this. I thought she was just raving. But that day, as I sat with Xie Yu reviewing memorials, an urgent report arrived. General Ji is missing. Xie Yu frowned slightly. What do you mean, missing? The army passed through Jianyu Pass. Days of heavy rain collapsed the riverbank. The general fell into the water and was swept away. The messenger hesitated. Rumors in the army say what? That His Majesty took the general's wife. The general was so ashamed and furious he took his own life. Clatter. My writing brush slipped from my hand and fell onto the paper. I stared blankly. Ji Cheng had long abandoned our old feelings. How could he possibly die for me? Xiaoyu glanced at me calmly. Nonsense. But that very night, the senior ministers knelt before the main hall. Filled with righteous anger, Your Majesty, execute the evil concubine to calm the army. Many soldiers who had returned from the battlefield joined them. The crowd was enormous. It was clear, if I did not die, this would not end, and my true identity was exposed to everyone. Swanixi laughed like a madwoman inside her chamber, shouting over and over, Yun Shong, you're dead meat. Ji Cheng's deputy knelt before the hall, tears streaming down his face. The general relied on the princess's information to crush the enemy, yet the evil concubine imprisoned her out of spite. If we are not given justice, the people's wrath cannot be calmed. I sat inside the hall, listening to the deafening cries outside, my body ice cold. Xiaoyu went to the front to discuss a solution. Before leaving, he touched my hair. Don't be afraid, this has nothing to do with you. But how could it not? Still, I did not want to run. This great victory meant that in the coming decades, Central Plains' power would slowly erode and destroy the barbarians. My long-awaited revenge was done. The night watch bell rang past the third watch. Suddenly, someone dropped down from the beam. Before I could speak, a hand covered my mouth. It's me. That unexpected voice made me stop struggling at once. I stared in shock as the man pulled off his mask. It was Ji Cheng. He was unharmed, his eyes bright and sharp. He looked nothing like a dead man. I'm here to take you away. He pulled the pearl hairpin from my hair, the one that would make a sound if disturbed, and dragged me up. A voice behind him said, General, the princess has been safely rescued. Retreat. A terrible feeling rose in my chest. Ji Cheng, explain this to me. Ji Cheng paused. The palace is about to fall into chaos. For old time's sake, I'll spare your life. Shang, if you come with me, the past will be forgotten. I suddenly pulled my hand free. You're planning a rebellion. Ji Cheng's face turned dark. Ninga carries my child. For her, I have no choice. I never thought those words would come out of Ji Cheng's mouth. His fake death was a plot with Swanixi, and Swanixi was a northern barbarian. This was not just rebellion, it was treason and collusion with the enemy. Ji Cheng, do you even remember where you came from? Faced with my accusation, Ji Cheng's face turned cold. Shang, in this life, you will be buried in the Ji family ancestral grave. When I become emperor, you will be a noble consort. There was no affection left in his eyes, only unwillingness and burning ambition. If I left with him, I would become a hostage to restrain Xiaoyu. Life and death are up to heaven. I will not go with you. I lifted my skirt and ran outside without looking back. Help, someone. Before I could finish, Ji Cheng covered my mouth tightly. You don't have a choice. Chaos erupted in front of the main hall. The enraged crowd clashed with Xiaoyu's imperial guards. Then someone shouted, the general is alive. The riot stopped instantly. Everyone turned to look. Beneath the silent steps, I was held by Ji Cheng, a sword at my throat, walking step by step up the stone stairs. A thick, murderous aura filled the air. Xiaoyu stood behind his guards, his eyes cold and dark. Step back. Do not hurt her. The imperial guards formed a circle, shifting as Ji Cheng moved. Ji Cheng spoke slowly and firmly. Your Majesty, our great Xia suffered heavy losses in this war. We cannot recover for 100 years. I believe we must end the fighting. Yet your Majesty has been deceived, unable to tell right from wrong. You first dishonored my wife, then persecuted a loyal general. I beg your Majesty to abdicate and yield to a worthier ruler. Xiaoyu sneered. General Ji, do you truly claim to act for the people? I do. Do you dare swear to heaven you have no selfish motives? I do. What if I refuse? His clear, majestic voice rang through the night. Ji Cheng said, then I dare to make the decision for you. The thousands of archers behind him only needed one word from Ji Cheng to loose a rain of arrows and take Xiaoyu's life. He feared nothing, Several old ministers hesitated. Your Majesty is the late emperor's only blood. Who else could rule? Swanixi pulled out a jade pendant and held it high. The general is the late emperor's posthumous son. This is proof. The crowd erupted in shock. The old ministers rushed forward to examine the pendant. Moments later, they knelt abruptly
before him, one leg cut off. Around them, imperial guards knelt in disarray. Xiaoyu coughed and suddenly spat up blood. Then he saw me. Shang. I forced myself up and ran toward him, crying, "Brother Ayu." Xiaoyu looked at me, his eyes full of tenderness. "Good Shang, you finally remembered your brother." His body went limp, and he fell. "Empress, Swanixi has given birth. It's a daughter." It was early spring. Apricot blossoms bloomed outside the window. I lowered my head, finished the last stitch on the mandarin duck pouch, and looked up. Does His Majesty know? Not long ago, Xiaoyu had told me, boy or girl, they will all stay in the capital as hostages. The maid replied, His Majesty has gone to the sky prison. I had been badly injured in the battle. Every night I woke up in pain, disturbing Xiaoyu greatly. The next day, he always had to go to the prison to console someone. I stretched my stiff body and, for the first time in a long while, went to the sky prison to find Xiaoyu. A small lamp cast the prison in a terrifying gloom. I was led to the end of a narrow path. The voices of Ji Cheng and Xiaoyu drifted to my ears. Xiaoyu made no attempt to hide anymore. Sitting before Ji Cheng, he spoke of how wonderful I was. You stole my credit and tricked her into devoting herself to you. She even had to divorce you before being with me. Quite the skill. Ji Cheng's voice was hoarse, bound to the torture rack. Stealing another man's wife is despicable. Despicable. So what? If you're capable, sit on this throne. The maid blocked my way, not letting me take another step. Your Majesty, you are with child. You must care for your health. The voices inside fell silent. Xiaoyu walked out at once. His cold, frosty air melted away, replaced by a smile. Shang, what brings you here today? He was more handsome than ever now. A single smile made my heart race. I still remembered quarreling with him last night and meant to ignore him. I pressed my lips together and said nothing. Xiaoyu said, still angry I called it the wrong name. It's mandarin ducks, not wild ducks. I corrected him again. Yes, Brother Ayu is blind. Shang's hands are skillful. I turned and walked ahead. Xiaoyu following close behind. We left the prison and climbed into the carriage back to the palace. The jade pendant had long been returned to its rightful owner, hanging at Xiaoyu's waist. Ji Cheng awaited execution in autumn. Swanixi had been abandoned by her homeland and hanged herself the day after giving birth. I toyed with the jade pendant at his waist and asked, when you came to the capital back then, how did you lose this? Someone robbed me, Xiaoyu answered lightly. But I knew he had a deep scar on his lower back, one that nearly killed him. I rested my head on his chest, listening to his strong, steady heartbeat. Then how did they prove you are a prince? Xiaoyu smiled slowly. When 13th brother died, his mother feared losing her wealth and status. She found me to take his place. The whip scars on you, naturally from her, Xiaoyu added, as if wanting me to know everything. It hurt terribly. I fell silent, head bowed. Twisting his fingers back and forth, I suddenly remembered why Xiaoyu had come to the capital. That year, the snow disaster left our home with no harvest. I squatted on the wall, crying into Xiaoyu's arms in the middle of the night. I said, Brother Ayu, if only I knew the emperor. I want to eat my fill, never to be hungry again. Xiaoyu had touched my head then and sighed. Then Brother Ayu will become emperor. Okay, really, that would be wonderful. Drop, a tear fell. Xiaoyu froze and pulled me into his arms. Why are you crying? I didn't scold you. That made me cry harder. Are you stupid? How could you risk your whole life for a joke? Xiaoyu said softly. How could it be a joke? Everything Shang says. I remember in my heart, right after the battle, everyone thought he would die. Several ministers forced me to be buried alive with him. I cried every day, crouching by his bed and chattering non-stop. Brother Ayu, I don't want to die. After 3 days of this, Xiaoyu's hand suddenly rested on my head. His voice was hoarse. Which bastard dares let my Shang be buried alive? He opened his eyes. I reached the halls of Yama. heard Shang crying, and came back. As soon as he recovered, the ministers started finding fault again. They said I was unworthy, that a married woman could not be empress. Xiaoyu cut their salaries and confined them to their homes to reflect. The carriage rumbled through the palace gates. I sighed. I wish I had never married Ji Cheng. Xiaoyu looked down. If you had been happy with him, I would have let go, but when I saw how he treated you, I couldn't bear it. Shang, that time you pushed me onto the bed, Xiaoyu whispered. I went mad with joy. But everyone says you. Xiaoyu chuckled softly. Says what? I just love you, no matter what. My heart trembled. A bold thought suddenly came to me. Brother Ayu, what is it? My face burned. I leaned close to his ear and whispered softly, let me make up our wedding night for you. Xiaoyu's breath tightened. How? The first time was too rushed. There's something I never said. I murmured into his ear for a long while. Xiaoyu let out a low sound, squeezed my hand tightly, his voice rough. Say it again. Brother Ayu, I love you.